Okay, let's go back to page 112 and review the story to make sure that we understand it well. If you notice in line 4, he says, the hunger I have known before this had been no grim, hostile stranger. So that's what he compares his hunger to, a hostile stranger. He says this new hunger baffled him, and it scared him, and it made him angry and insistent. Line 14, when he starts asking his mama for food, she tries to make a joke to make him laugh. Any questions on this page? Raise your hands if you have any questions, please. All right, let's go to page 114. She continues to tell him that he will have to wait to have something to eat. And finally, she tells him that he will have to wait for God to send some food. And he asked her, when is God going to send the food? She said she didn't know. All of a sudden, he noticed while she was ironing that she had tears in her eyes. And she finally asked him, where is your father? And it dawned on him that his father had not come home to sleep for many days. And at first he was happy because he could make as much noise as he wanted without any restrictions from his father. But then he realized it had never occurred to him that his father's absence would mean that there would be no food in the house. His mother asked him, who brings food into the house? And he told her, Papa. And she explained to him, well, he isn't here now. And he still insisted that he was hungry. And she finally told him that she would have to get a job in order to buy food. Yes, Hannah.
Miss, I had a question on page 112.
Okay.
It said in line number 2, hunger had always been more or less at my elbow when I played. I don't understand that line.
Because before he could be outside playing and all of a sudden he would feel hungry and he knew he could go home and get something to eat. You understand?
Oh.
Hunger was never a big problem for him because
Sorry.
That's okay. They always had food in the house. It wasn't a problem. But now it's become a problem because there is no food in the house. Okay? All right, so then he tells us that his mother, page 114, the last paragraph, his mother finally went to work as a cook, and she left him and his brother alone to take care of everything in the home. He tells about some days, evenings, she would return and she would feel very sad and gloomy and she would cry a lot. Sometimes she would call him and his brother and she would sit them down and talk to them for hours. And she explained to them how they would have to take the responsibility of dressing themselves, preparing their own food, being responsible for the flat because she had to work in order to buy food. And although they were scared, they promised that they would. They didn't quite understand what had happened between their father and their mother. And he says that the long talks they had gave us a feeling of a vague dread. Whenever they asked why their father had left, she would explain to them that they were too young to know. Also, this is the point where she explains to him that he would have to do the shopping for the food. And in the beginning, he felt all grown up and very proud. And he tells about the first afternoon that he took the basket and the note and the money and went down. But when he reached the corners, the gang of boys grabbed him and knocked him down. They took the basket, took the money, and they sent him home running in a panic. So that evening when his mother got home, he told her what had happened. She didn't say anything. She just sat down, she wrote another note, she gave him more money, and sent him out to the grocery again. However, when he got to the bottom of the steps, he saw the same gang of boys playing down the street, and he run back inside. When his mother asked him what was the matter, he told her that those boys were down and he was afraid they'll beat him again. And she told him that he had to get over that and told him to go back. And he said, I'm scared. She said, go on and don't pay any attention to them. So he goes out the door, walks down the sidewalk, and all the time he's praying that the gang would not attack him. But as soon as they saw him, they shouted, there he is. And again, they overtook him, threw him down on the pavement while he was yelling, pleading, kicking. They took the money, they yanked him to his feet, and gave him a few slaps, and again they sent him home sobbing. His mother, however, met him at the door, and he explained to her that they had beat him again and took the money. And she warned him, don't you come in here. This made him freeze. He couldn't move. And he told her, but they're coming after me. She said, you stay right where you are. I'm going to teach you this night to stand up and fight for yourself. She goes back inside the house, and he's standing there waiting, terrified, and wondering what she's going to do. All of a sudden, she returns with more money and another note and a long, heavy stick. And she told him to take the money, the note, and the stick, go to the store and buy the groceries. And she says, if those boys bother you, then you have to fight. He was baffled or shocked. He couldn't believe that his mother was telling him to fight, which was something that she had never done before. And he told her, I'm scared. And she said, don't you come into this house until you've gotten those groceries. Any questions on page 115? Excuse me. All right, page 116. He told her, they'll beat me, they'll beat me. She said, then stay in the streets, don't come back here. He tried to force himself back into the house, but all of a sudden she slapped him in the face. So he stood on the sidewalk crying and begged him, please let me wait until tomorrow. And she told him, no, go now. If you come back into this house without those groceries, I'll whip you. She then slammed the door and locked it. He was standing there, frightened. He was all alone, and the gangs were after him. He said, I had the choice of being beaten at home or away from home. I clutched the stick, crying, trying to reason. If I were beaten at home, there was absolutely nothing that I could do about it. But if I were beaten in the streets, I had a chance to fight and defend myself. So he walked slowly down the sidewalk, coming closer to the gang of boys and holding on to the stick tightly. He said he was so full of fear that he could scarcely breathe. And as soon as he got close to them, they shouted, there he is again. And they surrounded him and began to grab for his hand. All of a sudden, he threatened, I'll kill you. And as they closed in, he let the stick fly, feeling it crack against a boy's skull. He swung again, lamming another skull, then another. Realizing that they would retaliate if he stopped, he fought to lay them low, to knock them cold, to kill them, so that they could not strike back at him. He said he flayed with tears in his eyes and his teeth were clenched. Stark fear made him throw every ounce of his strength behind each blow. He hit them again and again, dropping the money and the grocery list. As the boys scattered, yelling, nursing their heads, they were staring at him in utter disbelief. They had never seen such frenzy. He stood there panting and egging them on and taunting or teasing them to come on and fight. When they refused, he ran after them, and they tore out for their homes screaming. All of a sudden, their parents rushed into the streets and threatened him, And for the first time in his life, he shouted at grown-ups. And he told them that he would give them the same if they bothered him. He said, I finally found my grocery list and the money and went to the store. And on my way back, I kept my stick poised for instant use, but there was not a single boy in sight. That night, I won the right to the streets of Memphis. Any questions? On page 116. Okay. Let's have a look at our assignment sheet. Of course, I've already explained to you that after you complete the story and you feel like you understand it very well, you need to fill out a plot chart for your story. Then you need to identify the conflicts in the story. Define autobiography and cause and effect. They're both on page 111. The following are the vocab words. Bamika, I would like for you to look up the word gauntly. Laura, the word despair. Mihad, please look up the word vague. Afid Uta, the word baffled. And Abdullah, the word taunting. While they're doing that, if you go to page 114, I'm sorry, page 112, you can see that the word clamor is a noun, and it means a noisy outburst or outcry. Here it's used, he says, the clamor in my stomach. You know how when you get really hungry, your stomach makes a noise? That's what he's talking about as in clamor there. All right, page 114, the word dispirited. Dispirited is an adjective and it means dejected. In the story it says when she returned at evening, she would be tired and dispirited and would cry a lot. This means she felt really down in the dumps, very sad and gloomy. The next word, flay, is on page 116. Flay is a verb and it means to whip or lash. He says, I flayed with tears in my eyes, teeth clenched. In other words, once he started beating them, he was just so stressed out about what had happened to him. He flayed with tears in his eyes. The next word is retaliate, same page. Retaliate is a verb and it means to pay back an injury in kind. Here it says, realizing that they would retaliate if I let up for but a second. And retaliate is when you get even with someone. And finally, we have the word stark, which is an adjective. And it means complete or utter, extreme. He said, I flayed with tears in my eyes, teeth clenched, stark fear. Extreme fear he had. All right, Bamika, you have your word. Bamika, do you have the word gauntly? Bamika?
Yes, Miss Lynn.
Miss Bhumika is muted.
Shh. I unmuted her.
Miss Lynn, gauntly is an adverb, which
Okay.
means thin and weak.
Thin and weak. And it's an adverb.
Yes.
Okay, that's the word gauntly. It's an adverb and it means thin and weak. Everyone understand? Okay, who had the word despair? Who has the word despair?
Miss Lena had the word
I got the
content.
word despair.
Okay, go ahead with the word despair.
Despair means a complete loss or a hope, and it's a noun.
It's a noun and it means, say the definition one more time.
A complete loss or a hope.
Complete loss or hope,
Yes.
okay? Who has the word vague?
Me.
Okay, go ahead.
Vague is an adjective, and it means not clear in a person's mind.
Vague is an adjective, and say the definition one more time.
Not clear in a person's mind.
Not clear in a person's mind. All right, the next word is baffled. Who has baffled? Who has baffled? Afaduta, would you look up baffled, please? Who has baffled? No one has the word baffled?
Miss
Yes.
Uta had the word baffled, but maybe you muted him.
Who has it?
Uta, Ahmed Uta.
Okay. I have everyone unmuted, but he's still showing. Afaduta, can you hear me? Afaduta, can you hear me? Abdullah, can you hear me?
Miss, he's still muted.
He's what?
This is still muted.
Mute
It's
myself.
muted.
Everyone supposedly should be unmuted right now.
Miss Lena had the word taunting.
Okay,
It means to provoke someone in an insulting manner.
okay, what part of speech is it?
It's a verb. It's an adjective.
Yes. Taunting is an adjective, or sometimes it can be used as a verb. Abdullah, tell me the definition one more time, please.
It means intending to provoke someone in an insulting manner.
Yes, intending to provoke someone in an insulting manner.
Miss Lynn, is
Yes.
this sheet on SMS?
Yes. All of these sheets are in SMS.
I found the rest of the sheets, but this assignment sheet is not on SMS.
This sheet,
I tried, yes.
did you look
It's
under
muted.
assignments?
1 second. So it's not on teacher library?
No, you need, every day, you need to check assignments and library. This right here, assignment sheet, is just an overall list of all the assignments. Each individual assignment is in the library. So always check assignments first and then go to the library. Does everyone understand?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, everyone is supposed to be unmuted. I don't know what the problem here is, but when I unmute everyone like Afid Uta,
He's telling us on the group that he can't unmute himself.
I don't know what the problem is. Abdullah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Afaduta, can you hear me? Develina, can you hear me? Develina, can you hear me? Hannah, Hanny, can you hear me?
Yes, Miss.
Okay. See, it's showing that she's muted. So there's a problem here. I don't know what it is. Oh, all right, so any questions on the vocabulary words?
Miss Lynn, I can't understand the flay, number 3. Can you
Who had the
repeat it,
word
please?
vague? Hannah, Hanny,
Yes, Miss.
can you look up the word vague, please?
Vague?
Yes.
Okay, 1 second.
Okay.
Miss Lynn,
Yes.
I can't understand flay. Can you repeat it, please, for me?
Yes, Hannah Hanny is looking up the word vague.
Flay,
Oh,
I'm saying
flay,
flay.
flay. I'm sorry. Never mind, Hannah. No, Hannah, go ahead and look it up because I think Afaduta had that word. Flay means to whip someone or to beat them.
Okay.
Okay, and it's a verb. It's on page
Okay, thank
116.
Yes, okay.
Any other questions?
No, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. The rise to the streets of Memphis, the vocabulary sheet 1. You can see that the words are in the little box there. Let's see how many we can answer. A tall woman with a long blank face spoke to us. Who can answer number 1? Raise your hand. A tall woman with a long blank face spoke to us.
Miss,
Yes,
the word that Ahmed Uta didn't make is baffled.
Afa
And
didn't.
it is
Hannah Hanny,
yes, Miss.
you have your hand up?
Yes.
Okay,
The word that Ahmed Uta didn't know or didn't he was muted. It is baffled,
yes,
and
baffled.
it is an adjective.
Okay,
It means extremely confused and puzzled.
say it one more time.
Extremely confused and puzzled.
Okay, and it's an adjective.
Yes.
Everyone got that word?
Yes.
Okay. All right, a tall woman with a long blank face spoke to us. Bumika?
With a stark face.
Everyone agree?
No.
Okay, who said no?
Me. Hanesi.
All right, Hannah, what is it?
Baffled.
A tall woman with a long baffled face spoke to us. Everyone agree? All right, let's come back to this one. Number 2, my father believes that you should not blank if someone insults you. If you know the answer, Sama?
Yes. Flay, should not flay.
No. My father believes that you should not blank if someone insults you.
Yes, I know.
Raise your hand if you know. Janaguda,
Retaliate.
retaliate. My father believes that you should not retaliate if someone insults you. Number 3, the blank mother did not know how she would buy food for her children. Raise your hand. The blank mother. The blank mother did not know how she would buy food for her mother, for her children. Zaina? Debelina?
Disputed.
Say it again.
Disputed.
Yes, the dispirited mother did not know how she would buy food for her children. Number 4, my sister and I are complete opposites. People often comment on the blank contrast between us. If you know, raise your hand. Afaduta? I still don't think he can hear me. Afad, can you hear me?
Miss Lynn, he is muted and he says that he cannot unmute himself.
Something's wrong. I don't know what it is.
Try to unmute him.
As long as he can hear me, okay. All right, who can answer number 4? Raise your hand. Hannah Hanning?
Stark.
Yes, the answer is stark. People often comment on the stark contrast between us. Number 5, the students had only a blank idea of what the teacher was talking about.
Miss,
Mihad, can you hear me? Muhammad Yasser, can you hear me?
Yes, listen, I can hear you.
Okay, can you answer number 5? The students,
The student said only baffled.
no,
Baffled.
no. Remember what the definition of baffled is. It's not baffled.
Yes. Stark.
No, we just said stark for number 4.
I don't remember this.
Salmon, do you know?
Miss, I can answer.
Salmon, can you hear me?
Yes, Miss Lynn.
Okay,
But I'm
can
still
you?
thinking.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
sorry.
No problem.
The students had only a blank idea of what the teacher was talking about.
Miss,
Laura, can you answer?
Yes, it's vague.
Yes. The students, I hear noise in the background. Will someone please stop? The students had only a vague idea of what the teacher was talking about. Number 6, the students on the bus were shouting and laughing, their voices rising above the blank of the motor. Adham, can you answer?
Yes, it's clamor.
Yes. The students on the bus were shouting and laughing, their voices rising above the clamor of the motor. Number 7, the meaning of the mysterious and mystical Egyptian hieroglyphs has blanked the greatest minds in the world. Carrie Mann?
Baffled.
Yes, baffled. Good job. Number 8, he knew the only way to stop the blank from the boys was to blank them. He knew the only way to stop the blank from the boys was to blank them.
Slim, can I answer?
Yes, go ahead.
Was to flay them.
What's the first blank?
He need only to stop the.
Look up at your words.
To stop the despair. Wait. This guy. Taunting from the boys
Yes, exactly.
was to flay them.
Yes, he knew the only way to stop the taunting from the boys was to flay them. And number 9, the neighbors were blank as they watched the crowd gathering. Nora, can you answer?
The neighbors were deserted.
No, the neighbors were blank as they watched the crowd gathering. What word have we not used in a sentence? You only have a couple left. Salma, can you answer?
Baffled.
Yes, the neighbors were baffled as they watched the crowd gathering. So let's go back to number 1. The one, a tall woman
We
with,
have used baffle in question
Yes, we
number
have
7.
baffled.
oh, true. The neighbors were,
Number 9 should be despair.
yes, I'm sorry. The neighbors were dispirited as they watched the crowd gather. All right, let's go back to
Despair.
number,
Despair, not dispirited.
no, that's not right either. The neighbors were despaired.
Or in despair.
I think I might have used baffle twice. All right, let's go back to number 1. A tall woman with a long blank face spoke to us. Look at your words. Hannah Yasser?
Gauntly.
Yes, gauntly. A tall woman with a long gauntly face spoke to us. Number 2 is retaliate. Number 3 is dispirited. Number 4 is stark. Number 5 is vague. Number 6 is clamor. 7 is baffled. 8 is taunting. And the second one is flay. So that only leaves despair, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
It would be where in despair.
I'm sorry?
Despair.
The neighbors were despaired.
Despaired or in despair.
I think I used baffle twice. I'll figure it out and let you know, okay?
Okay.
Okay, Miss Lynn.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Are there any questions on the vocab words?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I want to understand what is taunting and gently.
Taunting means when you like tease someone, you just continuously tease them. And what was
It's a
the
noun,
other?
right?
Yeah, taunting is what? What is taunting? I'm sorry.
Noun.
Taunting is noun.
Noun, or it can
We use
also
it
be a
in number
verb.
8.